All right. This is Anthony F. here, Mobile Tech Heat. Here we are reopening our previous, what's the word? Opinion piece called Android's Most Wanted. It's our weekly thing.
Welcome to Mobile Tech Heat. Please subscribe to our channel and like our videos.
So there were two incredible articles posted today. One article was from a developer slash business person who spoke about how most companies will make an iOS app first because that's what venture capitalists want. If you want to make any money, you're going to have to first create an iOS app, and then hopefully 18 months or so later, when you get your next round of money, then you make an Android app. Interesting thought about that. I'll try to find that link to put in the show notes. But what we're going to talk about now is another incredible post from Ron Amadeo about Google's iron grip on Android, controlling open source by any means necessary. So Ron paints a picture here of how most of the essential apps to Android that you love, the Gmail app, the calendar app, the Google Maps app, all those apps that you can't live without because it is Android itself, is right now closed sourced just for Android. So if you are a ROM maker, if you make custom ROMs and you want to say, oh, forget Google, I'm going to make this totally custom, I'm going to make some things on here that Google says don't make, it'll be great. Guess what? You will not be able to install Gmail, Google Maps, or anything else, Google Now, related to the core apps of Google. Why is that? Well, because Google has closed sourced them behind the app called Google Services, that little puzzle piece. You can't install that on your custom ROM if you break their rules. Now, in the beginning, Google was small with Android, so they were kind of freer, please, fork our ROM for the most part, send it everywhere, which was good. But as Android got more popular, they started to change. So we see here is, as Ron shows, the ASOP, or basically the open version, the open source version of the Google search. And now the new version of Google search with the cards and the coolness and the Google Now that talks to you, that's not open sourced anymore. So if you were making a ROM that were doing things that Google didn't agree with, like multi-windows, you can't have this feature. Now, how Samsung's getting around this, I don't know. They have lots of money. They can try. Is Google Now in Amazon Kindle? No, it's not. Interestingly enough, because Amazon has forked Google's Android rather, and you don't see those things. You don't see Google Maps. You don't see anything else even close to it. Amazon has counterparts that they use on their Kindle for that. Plus, Amazon hopes that you just care about watching movies and music, so it doesn't count. So this Ars Technica article goes on and on and on about the different things that if you are trying to fork or thinking about forking Android for yourself, the things you're going to lose. Now Chrome is still open sourced, so you're still safe with that. But say you want to just use the open source version of Android. The things you will have and the things you won't have will be incredible. You have a regular email app. You won't have Hangouts. You have a regular SMS app. You won't have Chromecast. Translate, voice search, won't have Wallet, won't have Cloud Print, won't have any of that. You'll just have normal basic things. And if you have good developers on your team, they can make equivalents close to it, but it won't have all the bang zoom features that Google has inside their closed garden, which is incredible. So you're thinking about that, like, well, yeah, okay, I really don't care because Google does it all. I really don't want to do that as a developer, you say. But if you are a company, a newly formed company, that now wants to do things its way, what do? Now you are at a fork in the road with your fork custom ROM, because if you plan to break apart from Google completely, you're going to have developers that's going to create things that Google has that you can't have. The Google Maps API. You can't use the Google Maps API to its fullness unless you abide by their rules. So say you make multi-windows on your app that resizes, things like that Google says not to do. All of a sudden, the API for your Google Maps is gone. Say you try to find a device maker to put your custom ROM on. Like say for instance, Oppo. The second that Oppo releases this device, Google will say, hey, we agree you wasn't going to do that. Stop it now or you won't be with our allegiance anymore. How is this going to play out? I'm really curious about this because we know there's a new company called CyanogenMod Incorporated that has became a business. They went from a custom ROM from a guy in Pittsburgh to now a big team in Seattle, Washington with big things and big ideas. But how do they plan, or do they plan, to make a completely different fork of CyanogenMod? One open sourced, one private, one not open sourced. How's that going to go? Very interesting, very, very interesting, because we already know that they've been trying to make custom apps that kind of replicate the ones that are free, like the messaging app, the SMS app. There's a CyanogenMod version, which is cooler, and you're just thinking, oh man, they made a cooler one. That's great. But why did they make a cooler one when there's a base messaging app already? Well, because they're going to have a separate app if they're going to break from Google completely. They also try to make a camera app. And then the question is, well, why would they make a camera app if there's already a camera app already? Well, because the open source camera app does not do the things that the closed source or the newest version of Google's app does. Let's see if I can get back to that page quickly that shows the difference of the camera app. Let's see here, we're on 4, I think it's on page 3. Ron did an excellent job here. Let me see if I can get to it. That's not it. Let's see. Get to it quickly here to show what's going on. What the game plan in people's minds, and when Google's trying to tell them don't do it. Now I'm sure you look this, even the music app is different. Here's a music app that came in the beginning, very plain on the left hand side. And if you have a custom ROM that has just ASOP, bland Android, you're still using that ROM on the left hand side. Here's Google's Play version. Then does CyanogenMod have a version? Yes, they do. It's called the Apollo Player. Or now, it looks completely different from both. A little bit more up to date, like the one on the left, Google Play and Music, but it's not Google Play Music. You cannot connect to your music in the cloud with the Apollo Player. But yet and still, the Apollo Player exists for CyanogenMod, even though there is a ASOP open source version of music for Android. Why would they make a duplicate app? Very interesting. Let me see if I can get to the camera app real quick. Keyboard. Many keyboards out there. Google went and made that cooler keyboard with the swipe kind of thing. Not on the open source version of Android. Here it is, the camera right here. Yes, yes. So we thought that idea died on the vine about as to why Focal wasn't a big deal. You know, Focal was the CyanogenMod version of a camera app to use all cool features. And then, you know, the developer and the new company had some misunderstandings, some disagreements. Okay, great. But on the left is the open source version. And on the right is the Google camera version, which now is closed source. And it has that top left one that Ron has highlighted. The, no, it's not called panorama. It's like a 3D globe version, as you can see. Well, CyanogenMod, they was trying to do something similar to this. A similar version of this. But why would they do that if there's a built-in version of the camera app inside the open source version of Android, ASOP? Why would they do that unless they was thinking we need to make our own stock apps for when we break apart from this? We have to have our own comeback here, along with the SMS app. Here's the left-handed version, the open source version. Here's the new version, Google Hangouts. Yes, now it's closed sourced. But then CyanogenMod has its own SMS app. Very interesting how this is being played out. Definitely let me know in the comments how you feel. Sorry about the Twitter ticker tape going on. It's just very interesting. I really want to know how you feel out there on YouTube as to what's going on, the future of CyanogenMod, future of any ROM, paranoid Android, for that case. For anybody that's thinking about venturing out, we know what happened when Acer tried to use a fork of Android, a Chinese fork, and Google was like, no, 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 you can't do that. If you do, we're going to cut you off. Acer said, oh, okay, and they came back. That's in this article. But why would a custom ROM company create newer versions of open source apps that are already out there by default? That's my question. So only time will tell what's going to happen, how this is going to play out. I put the same questions on Google+. We'll see how the answers come out. But this is just a great, great, great post here. And I'm glad they wrote this. And I'm glad we were able to talk about it. Please leave some comments in there. Be constructive. Don't be idiots in there. Let me know what you think. Anthony F. Over Techie.